Good morning, everyone. Steve Murray here with Insurance Agency Marketing Services. We're going to have the coach Dave Pimper talking about Social Security claiming here very shortly. So what he's going to do is give us a little background on Social Security claiming, walk through kind of the two, four, five top Social Security claiming questions that he encounters every day. We'll talk a little bit about how to take that information and or your Social Security expertise and make it valuable to your current clients, and also bring value to your practice by adding that as kind of a marketing part of your business. So it's a good webinar that we have today, one that we've done some iteration of regularly here for about the last 7 or 8 years. And we found Social Security claiming to be maybe one of the better opportunities to help our producers help their clients and grow their business as that we've seen in our 35 plus years in the business now. So I'm glad that you've all joined us today. Thank you for that. Again, my name is Steve Murray. I'm the president here at Insurance Agency Marketing Services, and every Tuesday and some Fridays I get the joy of joining Dave for our kind of more of a sales and marketing based webinar, and I enjoy it a great deal. So I appreciate y'all tuning in with us here today. As we get rolling here, I wanted to go over a couple of things, as I always do. I talk about some of the things that we do here at IAMS. I appreciate you tuning in early and to hear that as well. So if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in, hit send, we'll get them answered. There will be a poll or two that will pop up. All I'm asking is that when that poll pops up, look at it and answer it just as quickly as you can with a quick yes or no, so we can get moved on. Before you see our new producer builders, and you can look at the screen and get a pretty good idea of what we do there. Let me make sure I've got you right viewed. Doesn't look like I do. Let's see if I can fix that. There. Okay, so it looks like you all can see what I'm seeing now, which is good. So you can see what the availabilities are for you there, which is great. What I will mention here is when you reach those levels during your first 180 days, you can claim any one of those. But if you've got something else that you're doing, if you're familiar with something else that you'd like to try in a similar a similar costing range, we're certainly open to that as well. This is all about finding ways to get you in front of more people and to have you be more successful. And so we kind of do our remuneration to you. It's a little bit of a kind of a marketing reimbursement on steroids, if you will, for your first 180 days. So keep that in mind. Just if there's something else you'd like to try, great. If there's not, you want to take advantage of some of these are all open to you as well. A couple business builders that most of you, I'm looking at our screen and our attendees, most of you are well familiar with. One is our referred producer program, simple program. If you have a colleague, somebody that you know that could benefit from what we do in terms of products or incentives or training, or assistance service along the way, and you refer them to us and they do business with us, then what will happen is that we will give you a bonus based on their business for as long as they're with us. There's nothing that comes out of their pocket. They get everything is available to them that you have. It's just a bonus that we kind of pay out of our advertising budget to you. These are some of the biggest checks that we send out, which it makes me, there's no one I'd rather send checks to than you all. So I'd rather send them to you than certainly any magazine or email service or whatever. So we appreciate your referrals. It's really has been the bedrock of how we built our business. And as you can see, those checks can get fairly large. We send them out quarterly. Now, if a check looks like it's going to be more than 1,000 or two on a quarterly basis, and we'll be agreeable to send that out monthly for you as well. So that's a nice program. Marketing reimbursement is another program that many of you are aware of. You can see before you how that works. It's a simple deal. Any business that you do, money goes in your marketing reimbursement account. When you do business and you do some marketing on your own, then we will send you a check to help you offset some of that cost. So we kind of match your spend dollar for dollar on that. Great back office support, and I talk about it all the time. And when I hear about why guys refer people to us, it really is primarily based on, hey, I know that he wasn't getting the kind of service that I'm getting from you guys, and so I want to expose him to that. And it really is a big part of why people do business with IAMS. There's a reason why services is the last name in our business. We're big believers in it. It's been our primary value that we've had for all the years that we've been in business, but it's also a value that's hard to sell. And so we understand that, and we know that you have to feel the difference. And so we want you to feel the difference in service. We want you to tell other people about it so they can feel the difference. But we can talk about it all day long because all of our competitors do. They're always like, yeah, we got the best service. But here at IAMS, we're really a cut above there. We got a great team. We've got a lot of experienced people. As you can imagine, as many years as we've been in the business, they know the ins and outs and can get you what you need. And we've got good relationships with our carriers on all levels so that we can get done what we need to get done, what's feasible anyway. So we think it's a high value. Hopefully you found that to be the case. I know many of you are regular people who do regular business with us, so I know that you probably have felt that already. If that ever is not the case, or if you feel like we could do more, I hope you call me. It's important to us. Firelight is a recent thing. We got lucky here. We added Firelight, kind of started the process about a year before the pandemic. And of course, there's been nothing more popular than e-apps since the pandemic. If you are still kind of fighting that trend towards e-apps, I would encourage you to, give yourself an opportunity to try it, see if it might work for you. Most folks that I talk with that are regularly using e-apps, you can't use them all the time because you may not be able to get a connection when you need one out in the sticks or whatever, and may not be able to do the business over the phone. But if you can, you're going to find it's going to be much easier, simpler. You're always going to have the right forms. You're never going to miss a blank. So it really makes your business go in cleaner, subject to a lot less issues on the backside. And it's ridiculous. And I'd be the first. I mean, when I did my first annuity app, it was 1986, and the brochure and the app were one. You tore off the brochure, you tore a little part off the brochure and filled it out, and then maybe if you had a replacement form and maybe a transfer form, you had 3 pieces of paper. And you all know that our lives have changed. Forms are changing all the time, unfortunately, and so the e-app is a great way to limit your exposure to having to go back to your client and say, whoops, had the wrong form here, or you know it didn't fill something out, missed this blank, or it's not right, or it's not adding up. E-app will relieve you from a lot of that. And there are some carriers that pay you a little bit more when you do some e-app. So Firelight we have a single sign-on. You can just go into our website. And most carriers you do annuity business with, you can go into our website and directly access their Firelight from us. So the good news about that is you don't have to go to multiple websites. Also, if you're doing multiple apps with various carriers on one individual, you can do the cut and paste feature, so you don't have to refill out the information over and over again. It just automatically populates it to the right blanks for you, saves you a ton of time. If for some reason it does end up that you have to go out and re-app, then you've already got that on the system. And sometimes it's just as easy as, you need to take this form and put this information in, email it to your client. They do the signing ceremony, email. You can do it in a minute, as opposed to the trouble of having to refill out the app and run out and see them and do all that. So e-apps are can make your life and make you much more efficient, make your staff much more efficient. So hopefully you'll take advantage of that. The ceremony or the process to get registered to do e-apps takes literally 3 minutes on our website. So if you have a question on that, call up your sales director and let he or she walk you through that so that they can make sure that you take advantage of that. Think of our creative marketing team as your advertising firm in-house that works for you at cost or pro bono. That's where I want to leave you with here on this slide. I want to keep moving, but if you need to do some things on the advertising side and you need some assistance, call your sales director and say, let's see if our creative team can do it for you. They're already doing it for people just like you. They've got great ideas. They've, even other producers that have given them great ideas that now we make available to all of our producers through the Creative Solutions team. It's just a great addition to our staff that we've made about 5 or 6 years ago that a lot of our folks use now. And I hope if you're not using it, I hope you'll take advantage of it. Great stuff on our website. You can see some of the things. Here's the main things. So Firelight's on there. The annuity search engine, you can go in and search up all the product. If you need the right MIGA product in the state of Texas for an 82-year-old with the best rate, you can go in there and find that in about 7 strokes of the keys, and which we'll do for you too. But if you want to do it on the website, you can do that after hours or whatever. Same thing on the life insurance side. You can go in and find the best rate or highest cash value through our iPipeline feature. We've got some great sales tools under the IAMS resource sales library that if you haven't looked at, you're missing out. So the website has gotten more and more valuable and useful, obviously. And hopefully, if you haven't registered on there, do so. And there's some stuff that you get if you register on the website that you can't get any other way. Retirement analyzer, I'm going to refer you all to Marcus Soller. Marcus is our primary contact for this right now in the office. And it's just, you can see from the slide before you what the tool does. Take advantage of it. It's a free, we're making it available to our producers at no cost, even if you're not producing with us, but if you're licensed with us, we'll let you look at it for 30 or 60 days. You can see if it's valuable to you. If it's valuable to you, then you will be a producer, because you will find that if you're A and B and even some of your C clients, depending on their asset levels and how complicated their situation is, this retirement analyzer thing will just tie them to you. I mean, they'll be coming to you annually and saying, okay, where's my stuff at? What do I need to do? What's missing? Where do I need? And it's a great deal to help build your relationship. If you're not, and there are other ones that do this. The reason we like the retirement analyzer is in terms of the inputs being uncomplicated and the outputs being very valuable and graphic. It's the best that we found, and so that's why we take the care of the cost for it for our producers. So take advantage of that if you haven't already. Call Marcus Soller. I'll shoot you a chat here shortly with his information. IAMS Wealth Management. I'm gonna put a poll up here, and while this poll is up, I'm gonna ask you or mention a couple things, and if you think that they might be of some value to you. What I'd ask you to do is just check yes or no on this poll. Okay, there we go. So before I put the poll up, you probably saw what we think are the benefits of having a Series 65 is it increases your revenue, it gives you better client retention, it can help you be more valuable to your clients, so it strengthens that relationship. We think it's valuable to have that Series 65 for people that are insurance only right now, too, because of the recent last February, the new DOL thing hit, and we think that that's going to make it more and more important that you offer other than insurance products, whether you do that through a partnership with someone else, in other words, referring some of your clients to someone else for some of the other services outside of the guaranteed part of their portfolio, which that's fraught with difficulties, but it can be done. But if the Series 65 is something that we think if you're in your place in your career where that makes sense, we can help you with that. So if you need some help with getting your Series 65, in other words, how do I get set up for it? Give me my testing materials and help me get set up for the test and help me kind of walk through that. If you want some help with that, then check yes on that poll. We'll get Duncan in touch with you and get that started. If maybe you're already an RIA, not happy with your fees or your payouts. So our fees, by everyone that I talk to that's with IAMS Wealth, says our fees are reasonable, and they're extra reasonable based on what you get for them. So you get your database, you get your website, you get all your compliance oversight, and you get the service. And their service is very similar to IAMS on the insurance side service. So they're built on the same platform, if you will. So we think service is important here. And if you're with another RIA, you probably found that service is not really what they do. They like to do compliance and oversight, but helping you with your business is not necessarily what a lot of them like to do. That's not the case with IAMS Wealth. So if maybe your payouts, you're not happy with your payouts, or they run through a grid. So our payouts are just a skosh over 1% to the advisor, and we don't run that through a grid. So you don't get like 60 or 50 or 80 or 90% of 1%. You get that whole payout. A lot of guys are surprised by that already have a 65 and maybe going through another firm for that. So keep that in mind. And if you have interest in any of those, check yes on that poll. We'll get Duncan to call you, and it'll be a 15-minute conversation. You tell him what you're looking for. He'll tell you where we fall and see if we can be of help. The biggest thing that I hear from guys that already had a 65 and came to IAMS Wealth was the assistance that they got in the day-by-day sales and transactions of their business. So most guys, you get a Series 65 and the RIA's, happy to give you the ability to do business through them, but they don't really want to get involved with the day-to-day stuff, helping you through the transactional stuff that you need to do, or helping you with the sales processes that some guys and gals, I mean, that's the major, they've got people to talk to, they just don't have the lingo, they don't have the processes to go through. We can help with all that. So I'm going to close that poll down. There's a few of you that haven't voted. That's perfectly fine. No is okay. I see a few of you gave me a no, and then a lot of you have a yes. So if you have any questions on that, or we're not able to, I didn't get something communicated about that you have a question on, just give me a buzz here at the office. It's 800-255-5055. I'll chat that to you shortly as well. I'll be glad to spend some time with you on that before you make a decision as to whether that's something that you want to talk more about. I'm going to close that poll out, and we are going to get moving much more rapidly now. I want to make sure that you're all aware of our next Top Producers Summit. You can see we're going to start in Rome. and we're going to cruise down kind of the Mediterranean up the Adriatic coast back to Venice. So we're going to start in Rome. We're going to go to Sorrento, Messina, which is in Sicily, Greece, Kotor, Dubrovnik. I never would have thought. Everybody that I talked to said that could be a highlight. You get to go to Rome and Venice, and somehow a place in Croatia is going to be the highlight. But everybody says that's a really, really cool place. King's Landing in the Game of Thrones, if you're familiar with that, that's where that part of that was filmed. But I guess that's really worth seeing. And then we're going to end up in Venice, Italy. It takes 4.5 million to qualify, but that's an 18-month qualification. So, and we have 15 months or 14 and a half months left. So you got plenty of time to qualify. We'd love to have you and your guests join us. We're going to take care of all of your expenses. Everybody's going to be in the concierge level. We've got the beverage package included. So you're just going to go and have fun and see some beautiful sights. We'd love to have you join the team there. Follow us and like us on Facebook. We'd love to have you join us. And there are some things like the website that if you're not with us on Facebook, or you're not with us on LinkedIn, that you won't see. And so I encourage you to follow us and like us. And if we can help you with some of that, let me know. There are going to be some questions. There's our 800 number again for 800-255-5055. I want to get on to the coach, Dave Pimper. So Dave is the president of Lazarus Coaching. He's also the president of his own firm, Catlin Associates. So he is in the business since the early 80s, done 500 plus seminars. He's been doing radio. He's got about 22, 23 years of radio under his belt at different levels, and just a producer that believes in the power of marketing and puts a lot of value in how many people can I get sat down with. And besides that, he puts a lot of value on the knowledge part of it. And so he dug into Social Security and Social Security seminars himself about 7 or 8 years ago now. And part of what he learned from that is that there's a starvation among the average client for information around Social Security, claiming that there's not really you can't go to Social Security Administration and get what you need in terms of proactive information. And so as we spoke about that a few years back now, he learned very quickly that he could be really valuable to his clients and really advance his practice with everyone knowing. The more people that know that you have that knowledge, more people that will come to you. So he has been kind enough over the past 6 and 7 years to help pass some of that information along to our producers and also help them with the marketing of it. And so now we've got what I would call a very, very developed process around Social Security claiming, and a really developed process around how to get that information out via seminar, via radio, and other things, and that's what Dave is going to spend some time with today. So thank you all for listening to my commercials, and hopefully there's something in there, some value to you. But what I'd like to do now is turn you over to the main event, the president of Lazarus Coaching, Mr. Dave Pimper.
You're very kind, Steve. This is Dave Pimper, and I welcome everybody on our webinar today. It's interesting because I've had an association with coaching and production with IAMS for between 15 and 16 years now, and I will let you know, and again, not to go and pump IAMS up, but I will just say that they really do understand it's the producer. Without any production, they don't make any money, and they are trying to go in and find ways to increase the production of that producer. And I tell you, Social Security is one of those ways that many times misunderstood and many times overlooked and many times not used. And I will tell you right now, understanding and really using Social Security to the benefit of that client or of that prospect can really make a big difference on your production. So what I want to do today, I've been in the business since 1981. I've known Social Security for 10 years plus, been in the business for 40 years. And one of the big things I know is that without contacts, without contacting people, whether it be face-to-face, Zoom, a phone, but no business is done. This is very much of a contact sport. And we're going to take about 35 minutes here and really delve into Social Security of maybe how it could help your practice. I will say this: there's only about 2 people in 100 on the John Q. Public that really understand Social Security claiming, and there's only about 10% of all financial advisors. And if you want to wrap just the financial people in general, wrap in lawyers, CPAs, bankers, very, very little education when it comes to Social Security claiming. Now, we're going to go in, and if you have any questions, just type them on in. But when it talks about Social Security maximization, why you, the advisor, should understand Social Security. So I'm going to go and start the presentation. We're actually going to take a test, a quiz. I'm going to put you back to school again for about 5-6 minutes on 5 questions on Social Security. This bit comes from Sarah O'Brien from CNBC, but most retirees get little advisor help on Social Security. And then it reads, a majority of older Americans get no professional advice about a key part of retirement planning, Social Security, even if they work with a financial advisor, a recent study concluded. How interesting is that? I just did a piece of business last week, a fairly good size of business. The only reason they came to me because they heard me on radio talking about Social Security, but their advisor had no idea of what the answer was. He said, just call the Social Security office, they will give it to you. And believe it or not, the Social Security Administration, you know what they can't do? They can't give advice. And now, how amazing is that? We give advice, but they cannot give advice. And I got the entire account from the other broker, the advisor, because of that. But it says the majority of older Americans get no professional advice about a key part of retirement planning, Social Security, even if they work with a financial advisor. It just kind of amazes me every time that I see that, but it's so true. Here's the test, and this is word for word from Simply Wise. And I saw this saw this one night as I was mindlessly watching Netflix. But it says a Social Security test only 1 in 300 seniors could ace. I aced it. I got all 5 right. There's one little tricky question, but it says, how about you, the financial advisor agent? I put that in there. It says these questions are crucial. So let's go in and let's take this test, okay? Here we go. To maximize your monthly Social Security checks, at what age must you claim benefits? To maximize your monthly Social Security check, at what age must you claim benefits? Write down the answer. Write it down. Here we go. You know what it is? It's not full retirement age. Nope. The actual age is 70. The correct answer is 70. Most people say FRA, but it's not. The correct answer, if you wait to 70, you maximize it. Question 2 of 5. What's the earliest age you can receive survivor's benefits if you're not disabled? What's the earliest age you can receive survivor's benefits if you're not disabled? You know what they are? 60. Yep. It's a 28.5% discount, but you can start at 60. Question 3, does your spouse need to receive benefits for you to qualify for spousal benefits? Does your spouse need to receive benefits for you to qualify for spousal benefits? Here we go. What is the correct answer? Yeah, she does. You can't take a spousal benefit if they're not collecting theirs yet, period. All right? Question 4, can divorced spouses receive spousal benefits? Can divorced spouses receive spousal benefits? Write your answer down. Here we go. Yes, they can. If 4 stipulations are met, what are those 4 stipulations? If you guess 2 of the 4, I'll give you this question right. What are the 4 stipulations? Well, first of all, in a divorce, what's the most important thing is? Yeah, your divorce lasted at least, or your marriage lasted at least 10 years. Secondly, you're currently unmarried. Thirdly, your ex is at least 62. Divorce was at least 2 years or longer for duration. Okay. Last question. Are you eligible for survivor benefits if you're not divorced? Are you eligible for survivor benefits? if you're not divorced. Are you eligible for survivor benefits if you're divorced? I may have said not. I'm sorry. Are you eligible for survivor benefits if you are divorced? Excuse me. Yeah. Okay. Yes, you are. And I'm going to give the see if you guessed yes because you have to answer two of those four stipulations. What are they? Um, First of all, you're currently unmarried. Remember those? Okay. Yeah. Marriage lasted 10 years. Yep. The divorce was at least 2 years ago. X is at least 62. Those are the four stipulations. So, how did you do? You know what? I'll tell you now. Now, people could guess at those and maybe get them right, but most people just they don't have a clue a lot about Social Security, and those are really pretty. The first one was a little tricky at age 70, but besides that, all of them were pretty straightforward. Jana Herring out of USA Today back in July of 2019, a couple of years ago, she says doing this one thing with your Social Security could mean losing 100,000 in retirement. How much does Social Security claiming at the wrong time cost you? Get a load of this. Retirees will lose an average of $111,000 in income per household over their lifetime because why? They took Social Security benefits at the wrong time. Overall, only 4% of retirees took Social Security at the right time. Let me go back here. I'm sorry. Only 4%, listen to that, only 4% of retirees maximized their Social Security. That means 96% did not. Pretty amazing. The history of Social Security goes back to 1935. The Social Security Act was signed into law by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, kind of part of the New Deal. First check was issued in 1940. In the beginning, age 65 was the only age you could take Social Security. Interesting enough, back in 1935, the average age of longevity was 62. What a deal was that for the actuarial odds for the government? Now, in 1961, under JFK, you could start taking your benefit earlier, but it's reduced. And then shortly after that, you could wait longer to take it up to 70, and it's increased, which that's the way it is today. Earliest you can take for an individual benefit, not counting disability, is 62. The latest that you want to wait is 70. It doesn't grow anything besides COLA after that. Automatic COLAs came into being, cost of living allowances or adjustments came into play on 1975. There was no taxation until 83. In fact, you know what? 1983 was the last year the trust fund was depleted. There's 2.9 trillion in that trust fund right now. 2.9 trillion. That makes Warren Buffett look small. But there was taxation up to 50% of your benefit in 83 and 93 under Bill Clinton, up to 85%. There's always 25% that's not taxed. The last major reform, besides COLAs, which is not major, was the Bipartisan Budget Act of 2015. They took 6 months to phase out, file, and suspend, and restricted application actually is still available if the person taking it has to be born before January 2nd of 1954. So that makes that person about 67 years and 3 or 4 months. So that's kind of the background on Social Security. Is it important? Social Security, darn right it is. Nearly 60% of retirees, all retirees in the U.S., count Social Security as the major benefit, over 401ks, over savings. Social Security 101 is pretty simple. I mean, there's 3 ages or dates that are important. The first date you can take for an individual benefit, 62. The last date that you want to take, or you just lose the benefit, at age 70. And there's something in the middle called full retirement age. Full retirement age, if you're born between 1943 and 1954, the full retirement age is 66. Now, and then it ratchets up to 67. Can it have a huge value? Yeah, if you claim at your right time. Not the right time, not a right time, but taken at the most opportune time for you, not for someone else. Do you have any questions? Titan may be more than happy to help you. Remember, I said there's 2.9 trillion. Yeah, we haven't ran a deficit, but we probably will this last year during the pandemic. We'll come out and see. But if it continues and all the baby boomers start taking out their big money, we'll run that trust fund dry in probably the year 2033, 34, or 2035. So 12, 13, 14, 15 years, it's going to be running dry. A lot of people think of that if it went bankrupt, like the government and politicians talk about, that there would be no money for a benefit, but that's not true, is it? Because it's a pay-as-you-go system. That's what payroll taxes, FICA, or payroll taxes, yeah, that's 6.2% you pay, the 6.2% the employer pays, that 12.4%, yeah, it's a pay-as-you-go system. Now, will it cover 100% of your benefit if the trust fund's gone? No. That trust fund is just there if it doesn't cover all the expenses, and it has for years and years, but it probably won't be now. Starting probably this last year, 2020, the pandemic year, because more people went on Social Security than ever, percentage-wise. They needed the money. They were laid off, they were furloughed, they were fired. Yeah, tough times for some people. So when you hear it's going bankrupt, it's a trust fund. It's not Social Security because it's a pay-as-you-go system. Now, how can we firm that up? Well, we could get for solvency in this 13, 14 years down the road. It's either going to be done by raising the ages or raising taxes or both. And even though I'm not in favor of this, I would say it probably would be for both. It is a pay-as-you-go system. What does the government buy with that $1 trillion of money coming in each year? $1 trillion of tax money comes in. They buy special purpose treasury bonds, special purchase or special issue government bonds. Yeah, there's no market value adjustment. They're paying out an average of the portfolio around 3% right now, which is pretty good. But the government has borrowed against, borrowed and sold off and put IOUs there. And so I have people all the time say, it's a Ponzi scheme, Dave. There's just nothing backing it. The bonds aren't there. The gold isn't there. Silver doesn't back it. But what backs the American dollar? The dollar bill in your pocket. Does gold or silver or bonds back that? No. Just a full faith and credit of the U.S. government. So I don't have one bit of problem. If they start not taking my cash, then I might have trouble. Yeah. So figuring out your benefit takes 10 years of working. You can get 4 quarters in 1 year. That's the max. You can't, no matter how much you make, what you do, you can't get 5 quarters. 4 quarters is the max. There's $1,470 a quarter. So if you make $1,470, you just made yourself a quarter. You make $5,880 of earned income. Yep, you've just gone in and made 4 quarters. Then from there, it's how much you make. The more you make, the bigger your benefit is. And then they do it over 35 working years with inflation. 35 years of inflation adjusted revenue. So if you have 34 years, you get a 0 on that 1 year. Okay? Remember I told you 43 through 54, full retirement age is 66, and then it stair steps 2 months every year up to 67. Don't you love that dog? Long-haired dachshund with the birthday cap on and a bone tie. That's kind of a bad joke, but I love that dog. Yeah. So if your full retirement age is 66 and you take it 62, your benefit is going to be cut exactly 25%. You have a $1,000 benefit, now it's going to be $750. Have a $2,000 benefit, now it's going to be $1,500 for the rest of your life. It will be reduced 25%. Once you reach full retirement age, every year you wait longer and don't take your money, it guarantees to grow 8%. Like this year, the cost of living is 1.3. It was 1.6 last year, 2.8 the year before, 2 the year before. But if it grows 1.3% again next year, yeah, you're at 9.3% of guaranteed growth. It's pretty tough to beat on an income stream. You can't beat that with a corporate annuity from the outside world. Just can't. I'm a believer that if you know these 5 areas, we just went over the individual benefit, but then spousal, divorced, survivor, and restricted. You're going to know the majority of the answers that people ask you. Now, what's a little bit interesting about IAMS and Dave Pimper coaching is just that. Most FMOs don't have somebody that will sit down one on one on the phone with you, give you all the attachments, answer questions. Anytime you call them, email them, we do. IAM stipends me for that. And so there's 3 ways you can learn Social Security. The first way is through seminar marketing. And we did some virtual seminars, Social Security seminars. I made money, but it was certainly harder. I had never done a virtual seminar before the 5 or 6 that I did, in the last year's time period. But we got our first in Nebraska. Things are opening up, and we got our first face to face in May. It's the second or third week of May. And I've got some others that are lined up around the country. Texas is a state, Oklahoma State, Kansas is a state. Yep, things are opening on up, and people are dire for this information. But you can learn with the marketing program. It's $2,500 for a Social Security seminar. I coach you up and teach you Social Security with that $2,500. You can be Retirement Boss Radio, your own radio host. And if you think it's too expensive, you got to look again. I've seen it as low as $2,500 all in, but it normally runs $3,000 to $4,000 for the radio time, for all the production, for the call center, taking all of your calls. It's recorded. I mean, very reasonable. I'm averaging 4 appointments a week. We had 3 last week, 4 the week before, from radio, week in and week out. I coach up Social Security there also, claiming. And then lastly, if you just don't want any marketing, but you want to learn Social Security, yeah, pay me $800. We'll do 4 sessions, $200 a session, all the attachments, and you're able to use me, when you certainly want to. Okay? But let's talk about spousal benefits. It says Dave's PIA. That stands for primary insurance amount. That's your amount at full retirement age. It's $2,400. Amy's PIA at 66. Full retirement age is $1,000. Dave takes his. Amy takes hers. Dave gets $2,400. Amy gets either or $1,000 of her benefit or half of Dave's benefit, which is a spousal benefit. How much is half of Dave's? Half of $2,400 is $1,200. Is $1,200 higher than $1,000? You darn right it is. By $200. So she requests that, and what happens is that she'll get $1,000 for her benefit, and then a $200 raise, a $200 pop up. How about if Dave doesn't take his benefit? Say they're both 66. He wants to wait to 70, and now Amy wants to take hers. Remember, that's that question. He can't go in and take half of Dave's until Dave claims. So she just gets $1,000, wouldn't she? That's how that spousal benefit works. How about divorced spouse? Here's another question. Marriage lasted 10 years or longer. Currently unmarried. X is at least 62. And the fourth one I don't have in here, but the 3 plus the triple play. The triple play is that your divorce was at least 2 years ago or longer. But if that's the case, you can claim your ex just as if you're still married to them. You can claim your ex just as if you're still married to them. Why is that important? It's important because, why? Married couples have many more options for benefits than unmarried couples. Divorced spouse benefits. Just let you know, individual benefit happens, you've got to request it. Spousal benefit happens automatically. Divorced spouse benefit has to request it. And survivor benefit, you've got to request it. Or you just don't get it. It's biblical. You don't ask, you don't receive. So let's talk about survivor benefits. In this scenario, they're both 66, just so there's no discounting. But Dave's full retirement benefit is 2,000, and Amy's is 1,200. Who normally dies first, guy or gal? Yeah, guy does by 3 years. And then baby boomers, who you're working with right now, they're normally a couple of years older than the wife. So I mean, you got 5 years. My dad died at 82 years of age, and that was 15 years ago. My mom, she's 97, still doing well. Dates a guy 97. You dated him for 10 years, Dean. I mean, Dean's a great guy. Takes her everywhere. They've been on 2 Caribbean cruises. They went to the Mediterranean cruise. They've been to Cancun 2 times. They've been to the Bahamas. They've been to Hawaii. I mean, I want to date Dean. What a great guy, but old. And my mom's living off my dad's benefit. Yeah, so Dave dies first. So what is Amy? Amy can keep her benefit at 1,200, or she can opt to jump up to the $2,000 benefit. She can't get them both. She can't get 3,200, but she can drop hers and get the 2,000, which is pretty important. Coordinating spousal benefits. Remember, I said filed suspend January 2nd, 1954, or born before. Yep. Well, what happens is if that's the case, then you can start yours if you're married. Start yours, stop it, but still continue to grow and get that 8% guaranteed, and then go out as long as your spouse has taken their benefit. You can go in and take half of that benefit. So how it looks is, let's say Dave's primary insurance amount, that's the amount at full retirement age, say it's 66, it's 2,400, and Amy's 1,000. Amy takes her grant. She wants some money coming into the family. Dave wants to delay his. Because he's born before January 2nd of 1954, he can do a restricted application. Restricts his started application to the spousal amount. Dave starts his in the eyes of Social Security, but then stops it and lets it grow the 8%. Goes over and takes out a spousal benefit, half of the 1,500. That $500 is 6,000 a year. You do that for 2 years, 12,000. 3 years, 18,000. That's free money, folks. Only 0.7% of all people who this would benefit does, and the reason is because hardly anybody knows it's even available. Called restricted application. What can the Social Security Administrational personnel do? They can estimate the individual benefit. They can give what benefit, the highest benefit you can get right now. You know what they can't do? They can't scenario plan. Have you thought about doing this? Have you thought about doing that? They cannot give you advice. How wild is that? They cannot give you advice. Look at D there. It's in their manual, Palm's manual. Provide enough Social Security information so that claimants make informed choices, but do not give advice. So, as we're finishing up here, and if you have any questions, type them. We're going to answer those here just shortly. But Social Security is not a standalone income stream. How it complements the other three income streams. It's the most flexible of all income streams. I believe it's not just claiming, but claiming at your right time. And don't forget, when you start looking at break evens, like my mom. My mom's a benefit. My dad's been dead for 15 years, and she benefits every single month from a bigger paycheck that she'd get alone because of the survivor's benefit. Yeah, where do you find a corporate income annuity, lifetime annuity that has an inflation factor, divorced benefit, survivor benefit? No, you just don't find something like that. That's paying 8%. You just don't. You don't find something like that. Okay? Knowing and understanding Social Security is going to help your business. It's going to help you write more business. And I can help you do that in 3 different ways. So I call it the 5 pillars of income: wages, pensions, income producing assets, RMDs on traditionals, and Social Security. I always say Social Security is the worst water cooler corporate talk in the world. Hey, Dave, I took it 62 and you should too. Hey, Dave, I took it 70 and you should too. That's like saying, hey, Dave, I love the color violet and that should be your favorite color too. Not at all. Could be, but not at all. Okay. And those income producing assets, I start uncovering that. That's where we work with those assets. So we don't charge for Social Security. We write business from knowing Social Security. When to claim is paramount. There's a lot to consider. There's a lot of different scenarios. Remember I told you the three ways? Yeah. Through I'm telling you what, if you're not marketing right now, you should be. I mean, we had a better year in 2020 than we did in 2019. Not everybody did. Very few people did, but we marketed. We kept it going when no one else was. We're the few people out there that were hitting the bricks hard. But through seminar marketing, Retirement Boss, being your own radio host, those two are coached up part of the program. I am stipends me, or just 4 Social Security sessions for $800. Really getting to know Social Security. Yeah, just a la carte. There's an old saying that says, procrastination is my sin. It brings me constant sorrow. I really shouldn't practice it. Perhaps I'll stop. Tomorrow never comes, does it? Steve is going to put up a poll. And if you'd like to talk about Social Security and what it can do for your practice, getting coached up on Social Security, get some marketing that really is driving some, not just leads, but driving appointments through the door. Well, I tell you right now that you need to mark yes. So as soon as Steve puts that on up, then he will be marking. You can mark yes. If you mark yes on that, then we will certainly go in and get together on the phone. Dave Corwin will go in and give you a call, and he'll look at your calendar and our calendar, and it'll take about 20 minutes maybe, but you can get an idea. If you haven't really looked at Social Security in depth, you should, because Social Security it's one of those unique things. You know what? Do people have to have a fixed indexed annuity? No. Do people have to have? Really forced to have life insurance? No. No. But do people need Social Security? Yeah, if they put in and got their 40 hours, you darn right. It's a commodity. Why don't more advisors know more information about Social Security? Because you know what? When you're 30, 35, 40, you are 20, 25 years away from even thinking about it. So I will let you know it's been a godsend for our business. Steve, I will thank you for putting the poll on. I
Sure.
would think we'll get a lot of folks that I'm able to talk to and maybe help them through the Social Security maze. But is there some questions that have come up or some things that we want to address here?
Yeah, there are a few, and so Dave noticed, and I'm sure you all noticed too, that I put the poll up. If you have some interest, want to chat with Dave more, I see that there are a few actual specific questions about Social Security, specific situations. Dave would be glad to answer those for you one-on-one. Just hit yes on that poll, and you can get a few minutes with him at your convenience. We'll schedule a time. So Dave, there questions that we have kind of focus around questions about seminars
Yeah.
and there's two questions about radio. You mentioned radio along the way here, and I mentioned it at the outset too that you have some radio experience. So I wonder if we could take just a few minutes and walk through seminars and then walk through radio, maybe a little
Yeah.
compare and contrast in terms of cost and benefit.
Yep. You know what? They're both marketing programs. Do I have a favorite? I've done seminars now for 37 years. I've done public seminars, 538 of them, or 37 of them, and all of those were face to face, except for like 6 or 7 that I did this year. I think I said 5, but I think I did 6 or 7 total nights or days. And so what happens is, just I like to stay in front of people. I like to have my days very, very busy with appointments. And so I'll first do seminars. Social Security, it's educational in nature. We're not having any dinners. People have to come because they want the information. There's free software for 3 months you get for Social Security that we give you. That's a very good vendor, simple software, pretty easy to work with. But if you don't know Social Security, I will coach you up. And Steve, I thank you because you stipend me. You give me a little bit to go in and to do that, but we know how important it is to know that Social Security tangent. And so, Social Security seminars are going to run about $2,500, and you get coached up on Social Security if you don't already know it. I also coach you from the seminar side too. That's one way. Second way is, yeah, I mean, I've been on radio for 30 plus years. I've had my own show for about 15 of those. 45-minute or an hour show right now. It's an hour called Retirement Boss Radio. Take charge of your money. It's a trademarked show, trademarked, and it's in solely for through IAMS. I put together the whole group, and there's a lot going on with this show. But if you go to www.retirementbossradio.com, you can hear the segments there, and they're pretty seamless. I mean, you'd think it's live, and you'd think that of how just listening to it, it's extremely professional. About 35% of all questions come up about Social Security where I write business. So I teach you there if you don't know Social Security, and that runs again similar to what it worked, 2,500 to maybe 3,500 or 3,000 to 4,000 a month. But you're on the radio for an hour and a co-host, professionally done every week, and that's, believe me, it's a great pandemic marketing tool because you can't catch the virus through a microphone. Impossible. And the last way is just you don't want to market. And that's up to you. I mean, I like to put Social Security out there where people are asking me questions and I can work with their portfolio for the potential. But if you don't want any marketing, either you have enough business coming in or you can't afford it. You know, that happens. I understand. Last year wasn't an easy year for a lot of people. But then I coached for 4 sessions for $800. And I'll tell you that $800, you'd have to go on out and do basically a $15,000 fixed index piece of business to pay for itself. It's probably one of the best investments you could ever make. But those are the 3 ways to learn Social Security. And I will tell you right now, most advisors don't get in this because they just don't see how it can make them money. But besides helping people and feeling good about that, you're opening up their portfolios when you ask the 5 pillars of income. The third one is investable assets that you could pull in income from. So we're getting all of their assets, and it's a great way to, it's a great way to go in and to market your practice and do something that the average advisor does not know anything about.
Well, and when you said that some people don't understand how how it can make money, we've talked about this a lot of times, especially over the last 3 or 4 years, is that Social Security claiming is probably the single most beneficial expertise that you've added to your business in 30 plus years. Well, probably said securities licensure, I would guess. So that's pretty strong. Yeah. So now the question is costs of radio, and I don't know how much you spoke about that along the way, or did I miss it? Did you talk at all about what your?
I did. I said that the cost of radio might be a touch more than seminars. Seminars are 2,500, and we've been fortunate for getting the rooms pretty filled up and getting some really good appointments in business. Radio, you figure 3,000 to 4,000. I think the majority will fall within that grouping. Could be a little less, could be a little bit more, but you're on the radio for an hour, and hopefully in the top 3 markets top 3 radio stations in your market. If you've never considered radio being a host, I'm telling you what, it has a lot of celebrity status. I mean, I'll tell you right now, there's more money that I get from my appointments listening to radio than there is seminars. I would say, I had a person ask me, Steve, yesterday, what percentage of my business came in from seminars, and I said about 40%. About 60% came in from radio of my new business. So my marketing, that's pretty cool, pretty darn good. So the different ways you can get taught up, coached up on Social Security, you should really take advantage of it. And hopefully you'll mark yes here, and we can talk, and I can give you some insight of maybe how I can help you.
You betcha. Yeah, there's only a couple of people that haven't voted, and certainly there's nothing wrong with the no. If you don't, everybody that's voting has got a yes. But so if you want to vote and throw in, at least let us know that you're not interested. Certainly that would be helpful as well. there are a couple questions about specific markets for radio, and I think those have to be addressed one-on-one. So, what would you generally happen if you said, "Hey, I want to do radio"? Dave would get with our media buyer. He would go out and check your area, see what the top
Yep.
station is, what the cost would be, get back with you on that. And that's most the actually of radio. That's most of the cost is the airtime. And then you're spending a few $100s each month for the production, which is really streamlined and easy to do. That's I think some people get intimidated by radio. You shouldn't be. If you can do a seminar, you can do radio. You can do it very well. When you put the two side by side, Dave, you look at seminars and you probably look at you're more targeted because you're mailing a certain age group. But with
Right.
radio, you're getting out. You're much wider. And by the way, that cost Dave gave you was uh, for is that for once a week? So generally speaking, 4 radio shows per month.
4 or
So you're
5
on
a
the
month. Yeah, it just depends.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. So you're basically on the radio for an hour each week. Uh, and you just I saw it with Dave. We went to his country club and golf, and everybody knows Dave because he's on the radio. In fact, I think we were probably golfing during the time that you were on
Well,
the radio.
and Steve, I got to tell you, I'm not kidding you. This is last week now. We had a real nice Sunday,
Mm,
and I'm out there on Sunday, and I was a heathen that day, so I didn't go to church, and I golfed, and I got done at about just before 1 o'clock, and my show comes on from 12 to 1, and as I'm going out to my car to get something, because I wasn't leaving, I was coming back. But he said, "Hey," he said, "I just listened to you all the way in from Omaha." He said, "How can you be here?" And he's laughing and stuff, you know. But it does. It just. I mean, most people aren't on the radio, and I am, and anybody that wants to be here with IAMS can. And I
mhm.
tell you what, it's a brand builder, but the bigger thing, it gets you a lot of appointments, and we have a call center that takes, because it's recorded. You can do it from your own office or your home. And I have questions from time to time. Do I have to be security licensed? You don't. I am, and I like that, but you don't. We have people that are very successful doing seminars and doing radio that are strictly insurance licensed. So if you mark yes, we will certainly talk about that and see if we can give you some insight on maybe how you can actually put that radio or put that seminar hat on.
Yep, great. I just want to do a quick check and see if we have any more questions. I know you've got to run for an appointment here, but I don't want to miss any if we got one that we can answer for the group. A lot of compliments. We had a lot of people get the answered right. A lot of people put in their answers here.
Oh,
Um,
good,
yeah.
good.
Let's see. So the information that you can get as far as your payouts and values from the Social Security website, have you found those to be pretty accurate? And is it, uh, in some areas, teachers are not necessarily included in Social Security.
Right, right.
What's been your experience with getting the information from the Social Security website? Do you feel like that's always been pretty accurate for your people?
I would say the website itself, it's I would personally never use it. I mean,
Hmm.
the software that we got, it's much. I mean, it's much closer. Puts in inflation. You could go in, and if you want to get really close, you can go year by year of your actual earnings. I usually, but I tell you, it you know is better than nothing, barely, I think. But when you go in and like the Social Security software that we give out for 3 months, Steve, it's much more in depth. It's much closer,
Yes.
and the reports that you get are much more in depth. I mean, it's just more impressive. Yeah, yeah. I'm not a the government's. If you wanted just to get a ballpark kind of figure of where you're at, not count inflation, et cetera, I would use it. But otherwise, what we offer is just so much more precise.
And if somebody wanted to get a quick view of maybe what one of those would look like, is that something that you could make available to them?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you
Okay.
know what? I mean, we can certainly talk it through and stuff, and we really don't give that until the person signs up for coaching. But I can certainly give them some good insight there.
Perfect. Well, I think we've answered most of the questions. Like I said, and I'm looking here, most people have set up for an appointment with you anyway, but there are a couple of more specific questions, which I'm sure they might throw at you during the appointment. But David Corwin will call you, and he'll set up a time when you can speak with Dave, and it'll be quick. And, I always say there's no time spent with Dave on the phone with, producer to producer, that you won't get some value out of that. So you all made a great decision wanting to spend a couple minutes with Dave. Thank you for that. Thank you for being so quickly answering the polls, and for joining us here this morning. We here at IAMS, the folks that are looking to grow their practice and help their clients, we have a real bias towards that here. We want to make sure that we're servicing and helping you any way that we can. So if there's anything that we can do for you, don't hesitate to give us or any of your sales directors here a call and let us know how we can help you grow your business. We've got a lot of ways here that we employ to help producers get in front of clients. None of them better right now, I don't think, than Social Security seminars and radio. So I hope you'll take advantage of that with Dave. Dave, is there anything that you want to add as we close up?
Nope. Thank you for your time. I mean, time is money as a producer. But when we talk, let's just talk about how we can help you up your production. What can we do? And maybe Social Security claiming is one of the ways we can do that. But yeah, certainly, I'm looking forward to our talking together.
Perfect. Thank you all, and have a great finish to your sales week. Everybody keep staying safe and take care of yourselves. And we look forward to joining you, if not Friday, next Tuesday on our next sales webinar. Have a great finish to your day and a great finish to your week.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.